So, welcome to the ProFit podcast. Gav, how are you, mate?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, very good. Um,
Good.
Thanks for coming on. I wanted to get you on to give your perspective on being a PT, because obviously we've known each other for a long time now, and I think there's some things in your journey that would be good for, well, our audience to hear. Our audience is mainly PTs in the first couple of years, building a business, probably still got quite a lot of challenges going on in that first couple of years. And I definitely wanted, I thought you could come on as somebody who's been through it all, given advice to other trainers already, and built a successful PT business. I wanted to get your take on it. So, for the
Cool.
benefit of the listeners, can you give a bit of a background of who you are, where you're from, all that jazz?
Yeah, I kind of live up in the northeast, in Middlesbrough Teesside area, which I know you're not too far away from yourself
Oh,
originally.
yeah.
I remember that first week of meeting you and just kind of knowing I know that guy's accent, and I could never pinpoint it because you were in Manchester. Yeah, I've lived over in Teesside since I was about 20, um, and that's kind of where my fitness career started off. So started working within the leisure industry. Um, I currently have to try and remind myself how old I am now. I only know it because I wrote it down, but I'm 38. It's just something I don't keep a track of. But yeah, in that last sort of 18 years of working within the industry and being interested in it way before that, I kind of think I've got a, a well-rounded knowledge of what I've done over the years, from just working on poolside into actually managing and running gyms, and then to working and running my own business, and then helping other PTs develop their business as well, and become quite successful in a good time frame, really, when they were doing the delivery of it themselves. So I kind of have implemented the stuff I've learned over the years from multiple sources, and implemented that into other trainers' skill sets as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got a really well-rounded background, which is I always like getting people on with kind of that background in the fitness industry as well, where you're seeing all sides of it. Because I
Yeah.
think that sometimes that's definitely something missed when a new trainer comes in, maybe their first freelance job or their first job in the industry is a PT.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to understand first and foremost that the leisure industry, the fitness industry is service based. That's what it's about. And sometimes
Yeah.
you've got to learn that. I don't know. What was your experience of being in those other roles before PT? Do you think it was good for you, bad for you?
It definitely taught me how to deal with people on different levels. Um, you're always going to have people come in that industry, and from yourself in the leisure industry, especially if you work as just like, unfortunately, what people see is like the kind of the servants of the system. Like, you just on poolside, you're just setting stuff up, taking stuff down. You don't really get looked at on too well of a light by some people. So
Mm,
you're always going to get conflict. You're always going to get sort of looked down upon. But I think it taught me how to not take that to heart and not let it be the truth of it. Like, I wanted it to be something that I thought, right, well, I can make these people like what they do, right? And obviously sometimes people punish themselves by going to the gym, but some people, um, they love it, and it's trying to get both people to kind of see the benefits in both ways. So like those people that don't like it, don't love it, trying to get them to enjoy the process a bit more, and then look at the people that are trying to help them in a better light as well. So I've seen it from that side of the industry to the other side of like trying to manage the teams of trainers and a team of instructors, to actually try and encourage them to do the same with those clients, try and get them to give the best experience. Because like I say, people just think, it's that whole, well, it's your job when you're in there, like, to take stuff down, clean stuff up, and it kind of is. But the biggest part of the job is making people feel comfortable and enjoy what they're doing.
yeah, I think that's a good point to make. When somebody joins a gym or somebody comes to even to come to a PT gym or a freelance PT business, they come for the result, but they stay for the experience.
Yeah.
And experience is created in so many different ways. Like how you look after somebody is the experience. And that might be sometimes making sure the kit's clean, making sure
Yeah.
that the equipment's away properly, and helping clients to see that those little details are important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think everybody who's had the same background as you or me, or I had Sean Keith on last week from Strength and Performance Gyms, and he was the same sort of background. It matters to do the little things well, and it
Yeah.
teaches you that. What about your venture into freelance world when you first went into it? I want to sort of hear your side of things. Your first year
Okay.
or so. Answer.
So I'll be honest, I've ventured into it around about 20, I want to say about 2010, 2011. I started kind of looking into becoming a freelance PT myself and going completely out on my own. And I actually had two mates, the three of us set it up, and we did fairly well out of it. We did boot camp classes, you know, park. It was like the big thing at the time, 2011 sort of time. Boot camps in the park were the thing.
Yeah.
And we also did fairly well as individual PTs, but we did it, and we kind of got to quite a busy point, and I got stuck. And I was like, how do I transition from being fully employed to self-employed? And I just couldn't do it. I'll be honest, I couldn't see the transition. I didn't have the balls to kind of step away from a career, like a salary, into freelance. And then around about that 2016, so I kind of shut it all down. I was like, I'll just go back to doing my salary job. It was easy, secure income, and it was I knew what I was doing with it. So I shut it down. The other two guys, they decided to go off and do their own thing, and that was cool. We still had, we never fell out. It wasn't something like that. We just a mutual decision. We just said, look, we'll just close it down. And then 2016, I just kind of realized like this is it. Like I can't just keep doing the same thing, going in, opening the gym up, or switching the machines on, being there every day, just dealing with people that don't really want to be there, but want to be there at the same time, if you know what I mean. Like I wanted to help people actually start really achieving stuff. And I just knew my hands were tied as to how much I could do. So 2016 was actually in another gym, because obviously one of the things that a lot of trainers do is they'll work out one gym, but then they'll go and train in another gym, because it's like, you want to help these people, but in the middle of your own training session, and they're coming up and asking you, or letting you know there's no toilet roll left. I'm training, like, can I crack on?
Yeah.
So I was training in another gym, and I just said to a PT, like, how do you get to be a PT in here? And he was like, oh, well, this is what you got to do. And it wasn't through a positive vibe that I got it. It was like, oh, you got to go through, a company called Profit. And he downplayed it. He was like, oh, that doesn't sound great, mate. Like I'm trying to ask for the information, you're downplaying this. It doesn't sound good. But I'll give him a look up on the internet. Went home and literally instantly fell in love with the process, because of all the sort of testimonials that I'd seen, and the values were the biggest thing for me, like wanting to see every trainer succeed great in the business. And it wasn't this kind of bad man mentality that people had. And I instantly knew, I was like, right, I've got to put a CV in. I've got to send a CV in as quick as I can, because these are the guys that are going to help me do that transition into freelance. And I just knew 100% faith that I had in it. So that was it. Went home, put the CV in. I emailed it in twice, I think it was, handed it into the gym manager at that gym as well. I think I emailed, I think it was Ellie at the time who's doing the admin for Profit. I was like, I've sent in a CV through the website, but can I send you it again? I think about 4 or 5 CVs came in. And then got the call, and that first week was just such a big turning point. It was like I knew I had to it was my make or break on that, and there was no looking back. I'd committed to it. I give that mindset of like, this is the career. So this was something that I saw was a vessel to get me to where I wanted to be. It was giving me the job that I wanted, giving me the career path that I wanted, and I knew it gave me the opportunity to then develop and build on my own family as well. So I could start looking at it as a place of, I could start providing a bit more. We could start looking at developing our family life, and it would give me more back in terms of time, job satisfaction, and general just quality of life would improve. So the transition was daunting. Walking away from a job where it was like you set hours a week, you knew what you were doing every day you went in, because it was all pre-planned out, and you had a regular income, and it was good sick pay. Good holiday pay, good holiday time off, but it was still something I was just willing to give all that up, because it knew it wasn't giving me the job satisfaction that I wanted. And I thought, well, I was in my early 30s at the time, and just realized that I can't keep doing that. I needed to be where I felt I was more naturally suited to. Yeah. And I wanted to help other trainers, because I was already kind of doing that in the gym, but I wanted to help other trainers on a bigger level, mentor them and help them build their business, and help provide them with the stuff they needed to do, provide them with the lifestyle they wanted as well, whether that be buy a house or go traveling and things like that.
That's interesting. Because I wasn't aware of the two goals at freelance. I thought that was your first 2016 was your first pop at it, but 2000
No,
earlier
we
you did an attempt.
yeah,
So there's a couple of things there. First, like if you're a trainer listening to this, reach out for help. I think is one of the big messages in there. Because if you find
yeah,
a support network, it doesn't have to be. Well, Profit was one of those kind of things, but there's quite a lot more now available to people. Support networks are massive for trainers,
yeah,
and like if you can find a place where you can feel more certain about what you're doing and more like you've got a steady ground underneath you, I think that just helps you learn and grow. Um,
definitely.
what was the difference for you then between 2010 and 2016? Why did you then go right balls to it? Okay, that's it. We're going.
I think it was just that level of maturity. So I was kind of like, I was looking into it, thinking the whole world of PT was different. And I'll be honest, I probably tried to get out of the industry 2 or 3 times, doing other things, like thinking because I'd had such a bad experience from other avenues, like the mundane routine of going in and opening the gym up at the time, I thought was not really for me anymore. I thought it was, you know, that was it. I thought that was the capacity, that was as high as I could go. And I'd heard from people as well, like, you know, PTs have probably heard this from other people, and my dad was the worst for saying it to me. Like my old man being a Royal Marine, served for 30 odd years, and he got when I was working in the industry, he used to always say to me like when are you going to go out and get a real job, son? Like when are you going to go out and do something positive with your time and get a real job and earn good money and start thinking seriously about your future? And I was like, I do a good job. I have got a good job. Like I do see myself in a positive light. It's not just like I'm not just tossing my days off going hanging around the leisure center every day. I'm going out and I'm improving people's quality of life. I'm providing them with the life they want. Um, so but I heard that all the time off my dad. Like, when you're gonna go and get, so I was like, started looking at, jobs that I could do to go and work on the oil rigs. Start looking at what was my opportunities there. Could I get a job out on the rigs, or could I go out and do plumbing, or could I, like start working in different avenues? But didn't like it. To be honest, like this is just not me. Like I'm not that way inclined. I like to be with people, helping people, and see the results in those people. And I still hear it today. I heard it like last night with my last client. Like just the quality of life that improved for them just by doing some work with me over the last couple of months. It's huge, and I just don't think that would get that job satisfaction anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I realized quite quickly on that I was more suited to that. So but I did look at it around about that sort of like 2010, 11 time when it was big. People were doing it left, right, and center, boot camps in the parks, and they were making good things of it. But I then quickly realized there were kind of flashes in the pan. They were doing it, making good money for a short period of time, and then they were just disappearing. And I think I almost thought that was going to be the reality for me, and it wasn't. I was doing quite well off being self-employed. But I think the reality was I was like, I can't give any more time to doing more self-employed stuff in my own business because I had a rota right to stick to for another company. And I couldn't give up more time on there because obviously I had a set rota time. And I was working all the sort of spare time I had. So if I started 2 till 10, I was going out 6, 7 in the morning, doing till 1 for myself, and then going into the gym 2 o'clock. So I was like from 6, 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, which I think that doesn't bother me doing that sort of time frame. But I was like, I've got no time for anything else. But I couldn't see the transition. I couldn't see how I could set the business up to be the longevity, like client funnels, like trying to get leads and funnels off that. Everything we did was based off recommendation. So all our clients and customers were people that would refer to us. Because we just didn't know how to market ourselves. We just didn't. I say we did well, but I think that was part of the time as well because it was so popular. Like everyone was looking for boot camps. You could just see it. Like Facebook pages all the time were just inundated with people asking for, does anyone know any boot camps that are going? Does anyone, and they wanted it all in the park. We just jumped on that at the right time, but we didn't have the education or the maturity to kind of develop it on. And there was nothing like Profit around here at that time. Yeah. There was no company that was willing to put some, invest some time and effort into trainers to help them go, right, look, this is how you do it, and we're gonna help you all the way, and be genuine with it.
Yeah.
Like there was obviously systems on place where it was like, oh, you pay this much money and we'll teach you how to do it, and they just basically send you a PDF. Like literally, like, there was no guidance there. It was just you do it all on your own, and that was my biggest thing. Like I just didn't have them. I didn't have the mental maturity. I think it was for the all the knowledge to kind of transition over.
I think a lot of people don't. I think it's much better if you give proper support and face to face, or at best maybe, or next best option maybe something like Zoom support or anything that's going to help people actually get proper coaching as well as the resources. I think you need, my opinion is you need both. But yeah, I think there's a maturity involved in it. Me and Matt and I have talked about this on the podcast about, we've had flirtations with leaving the industry in the past as well. I think you just reach a level of maturity where you're ready for it. You notice that you don't want to leave. You're passionate about it. You just haven't found the right channel. You haven't found the right platform for you.
Yeah.
Again, if kind of PTs are listening to this, that's the message, is that you will find the right place for you. Keep looking, especially if you're a new PT in the industry. Keep looking for that family, that support, that network that's going to be right for you, because you will find it. It's just looking in the right places. And I think the good thing these days is there are a lot more pro fits out there. We were one of the first, but I think there's a lot more communities now that are really good that help support PTs as well. We had Stuart from Lift the Bar on recently, and he was awesome. Their company, what they're doing there is really, really good. Great place for PTs to go. Cool. Now, I wanted to talk about this as well. I wrote this down as a subject to touch on, because I was wary of, like, I'm from the Northeast, so hopefully I'm not going to offend anybody here. And if I do, I'm offending myself anyway. Right? So I'm from Darlington, just down the road from where you are. And when I was first entering the industry, I worked around Darlington and Newton Aycliffe, and there wasn't really an industry, which was one of the reasons why I moved to Manchester when I was about 2021, because I just had to move to see more opportunities. And one thing I wanted to bring up was you've been really successful in that area, in the Northeast, where arguably, and I hear this sometimes from PTs, that I'm in a tough area to build business. There's not many clients around here who will buy this type of product. And I kind of definitely felt that a little bit when I was early on, like when I was young in my career in the Northeast. I wanted to know, did you experience that? Because you've gone on to charge very premium prices. You do very well with it. You have no problem charging premium prices. And in what some people, not myself to be honest now, would argue that is an area that's tougher to do that. So I did want to talk about that and see what's your experience of that been like? Did you have some blockers initially to that when you first started upping your prices and all that kind of thing?
So if I go back to like that trainer when I said, how do I get a job in here? They were all like charging like, probably what people consider the lower end of it and not really seeing their value in what they were doing. And he said, when you go profit, you have to be profit in this gym, and you have to charge this. And I did shit myself. I was like, wow, like that's a lot. Yeah, it really is quite a lot.
For everybody listening, we had a minimum charge. Everybody had to meet. Yeah.
And I was like, that's going to be tough. But then I thought, well, again, it's something I have to give a go at. So I'll try it. Like if I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't, and I'll be confident in what I'm doing, what I'm saying, because I know my skill set, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm very good at. And I'm quite honest. I can be honest and say, look, I'm not very good at that, but I know what I'm quite good at. And one of my biggest things is being relatable to people and actually caring and getting to know the people I work with and talk to. So when this trainer had said like, oh, you got to charge this much, I was like, I'm never going to get clients because I'm going to walk in as a profit trainer, hoping, like fingers crossed, that I get the job. I'd get the job as a profit trainer, and all these other PTs would be undercutting me. They'd be easily undercutting me, and people would see that as a benefit, right? They'd be like, well, why go to him when he's charging that much when I can get that, and they're charging this much? And then the proof was in the pudding. Like it was, you give the people the opportunity to work with you and see your skill set, but not only that, but like actually see what they're getting for it. Not just, they weren't just coming to me and then seeing me in the gym and I was making stuff up on the spot, and we were just going, all right, it's legs today, we'll do legs. And I had no idea what these guys were lifting, what they were doing with the legs. Like we have a system where we know that client inside and out pretty much. We've got an in-depth knowledge of what that person's likes are, dislikes are, what their abilities are, what they can't do, and work it around that. And I thought that's definitely got to be the point that we can work on. I can sell that. It sounds awful saying it, but that's what it has to be. Like, I can sell that to them because they know that that's what they're going to get. So yeah, they can go and see a trainer for less money, but that trainer will probably do just exactly that. Like, they'll be stood there at the top of the stairs or wherever they're at. All right, mate, they know your name. They don't really know a great deal about you, but they're going, it's legs and say, oh, it's shoulders. Let's go and do that. But I have no knowledge of what that person's doing. And I thought, right, I can use that to my advantage. I'll use that to get that kind of consistency with clients, and they know what they're doing. Like, a lot of my clients that work with me now, when they speak to their partners that have maybe had PTs, and they're like, well, you actually know what you're doing when you go to the gym today. He's like, oh yeah, I know what I've got going on. I know what I'm doing. I can prep for it. So if he knows he's got a certain style of training to do today, he'll suit that to himself. And like, I never knew what I was doing from 1 minute to the next when I was going in the sessions, and they know that they got that with me. So I think, like, and I know kind of going around on it, but I think that's one of the things that I used was, my system, my service was worth that, what I was charging. And if anything, it was worth more than what we were charging.
Yeah.
But we had to do something with it. And then as time goes on, you develop yourself as a trainer, you put yourself on. I've lost count of how many courses I've done in just the last 8 years, or 6 years, sorry, working with Profit, the opportunities I've had to put myself on further education. So with that comes more skill set, more expertise, more confidence in different areas to help me then go, right, well, actually what I'm delivering now is worth that bit more. And I don't really think I've had too many objections against it. Yes, you get the odd people sit down and go, oh, I didn't realize it was that much. I was like, well, what were you expecting to pay, and what were you expecting to get for that payment? And then it kind of just, you whittle out the people that want to do it seriously, or just want to say, oh, I've got a PT and don't really mind giving up a little bit of money every month. Or you got people like what we train that are like, actually, I'm coming to you. They leave their egos at the doors because they haven't got one in the first place. And they're like, I want to work with you because I know you can help me. And that's the big thing for me. It's like, I've never really had that major objection. It's like, you just kind of say it as it is. Tell them what you can offer them and then what they're going to get for it. And then, you kind of keep reiterating those results, like what they're going to get, how it's going to work for them. They never really have any major issues with the payment, because it's like I said, they just kind of come to expect that they're going to get something for it, and they do consistently.
It's that confidence that you can hear it when you talk about it now.
Yeah.
That confidence and assertiveness to say to people, here's what it is. And those couple of questions that you stuck in there, I want people to really listen to them as well. Is what were they expecting to pay, and what did they expect to receive for that? Because those are important questions, but being brave enough to ask them as well, like that's something that all trainers should be training in their communication. Ask people what were they expecting to pay, and what were they expecting to receive? Because I'll guarantee you that it was way lower than what they're going to get in the service. Their expectation of it is probably someone stood behind them on a treadmill shouting run. That's pretty much what they were expecting. Whereas we don't do that as trainers and coaches. We should be aiming a lot higher than that in our service. Can I ask you this then? Where do you think, because obviously you sound really confident in that, where do you think you see value in your service? Because I asked somebody, a guest the other week, about this, and he said, value in myself was one of the biggest lessons I ever learned, actually putting a value in what I do. Where do you think the value is in what you do?
I think it'd probably be on the same lines as that previous one, like valuing what I do, and who I am as a kind of a person, and then also as a business. So these people know me. My clients all know me. The things that we've gone through over the years. A lot of my clients I've been working with from my offset. Like I took a lot of clients on quite successfully in the early stages, and I've maintained a lot of those clients throughout that time frame. And you kind of can't not know these people, and they can't not know you. They know who you are and what you like as a person, and it becomes, I think the value is that relatability in who you are as a person to you and to them, and what you stand for, your values. As long as they marry up, you'll get on well with every client that is pretty much there. But if the values don't line up, then it's just not meant to be. But that's like everything, right? You can't always, you can't be for everybody, and they can't all be for you. But I think it is that it's having the confidence in knowing my abilities and how I know I can help these people.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. I think there's no doubt your relationship building is very, very good, very strong. As well as you're a very technical coach as well. Like that sometimes doesn't come hand in hand. I think you
Yeah,
need both. I think you need that technical ability and the ability to program well and have planned sessions out for people and have a progression to that, be able to
yeah,
manage that really well. But if you're not relatable, you don't get on with people, they're not going to stay. Having those two things allows you then to charge more money. No matter, in my opinion, no matter what area you're in, because
yeah,
one of the things you said there was you don't need everyone. You don't need everyone. If you sit down 10 consultations, maybe three, four, five of them aren't going to buy your service. And that's okay. That's all right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, good. I wanted to, yeah, it was a kind of delicate one that I wanted to
No,
guess
it's
it.
true though.
Yeah.
Because I had that exact same mindset. I was like, we're in the northeast. It's not, whilst there is an industry up here, but they generally work away off on the rigs and stuff. I mean, one of the standing jokes is, like these rigs are just basically Teesside in the middle of the sea. Because a lot of the guys around here do work in that industry. It's massive around here,
Yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the most influential areas of the country, if you know what I mean. Like cities, obviously, industry is big in the cities. You don't really have to try and convince too many people to do exercise. But I generally find there is, if you have that kind of patience and the knowledge and the market you're working within, you can find out some absolutely diamond clients that are willing to, willing to pay whatever. Like I dare say, there's people out there can charge more that are charging more, and the people will be paying them. There's no reason why you have to put a cap on it because the geography of it where you are. You just have to find those right people. But generally, yeah, the Northeast does have that bad kind of mindset, and we are all told, oh, you can't charge that in Teesside, you can't charge that here. But the reality of it is, you can charge it, but you've just got to make sure that those clients are getting what their worth is. Like, and I go back to that question, like, what were you expecting to pay, and what were you expecting to get?
Yeah.
And most of them don't expect the quality or the level or in-depth product to get from us. And when we call it a product, it's because we have systems, we have things put in place. And my clients have systems, they have a resource they can tap into. I have libraries online of videos of exercises that if they don't know what it is, there's a library they can tap to. They have contact to me through application systems. They have ways and means of communicating with me on a consistent level that doesn't impact on my private life at the same time. Like you still got to shut down from that. But all my clients know that. They're like, it's your time off. So they don't influx me with information, or they don't, but they'll put the means of contact out there. So I know that when I see my next client, it's like I've got that information ready and I can do something with it. You ain't gonna get that with a lower paid PT you're gonna charge you a couple of quid and you're gonna see them, like I say, when they come in on the stairs. And like all my clients, if I set stuff up for them, I know exactly what they're doing. Like they know their previous weight, whatever it is they were doing. Like no PT on the land can remember all their clients' weights, what they're doing when they're lifting weight. They can't remember half the exercises. They can't remember if they did a split lunge or a squat or a step up. They don't know those things.
Yeah.
Because if they're just paying them for the session and they haven't got any means of track record, it generally just becomes just an ad hoc. I'll do this with you because it's legs or it's shoulders or it's back. Whereas like with my clients, my area of expertise has always been more that rehabilitation side. Mm-hmm. So I have a slightly different approach to training with clients, but it's nothing special. It's just different because that's where I kind of put all my focus and energy into.
Yeah, I think having those systems is massive. Having a tracking system, having applications that allow people to communicate with you, having a library of resources that clients can use, and then just being good at delivering that service. Like you said before, just making sure you're personable, you're on time, your manners are there, you really genuinely care about the person. That will elevate your prices year after year after year. And good. I'm glad we covered that one. So the next bit I wanted to talk about that's a bit unique to you as well was going from, obviously you were freelance in a commercial gym. So a lot of people listening to this might be in that position right now. We talked about going from being employed to self-employed, and then another transition you made recently was part of the pandemic, where you left the commercial gym and you now train people from home, from your home.
Yeah.
So you set up your own gym site, your own private studio at home, and you have people now come to you. So I wanted to talk to you about like, how's that been, pros and cons? Fire away.
Yeah, all right, yeah. So yeah, obviously within the pandemic, like a goal of mine was always to have my own house with a garage, and I would convert it into a PT studio or a studio for me, my own personal use.
Yeah.
And then this was like 2019 when I moved into the house. In 2020, we all know that we all just went into complete lockdown.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, so I'm gonna have to convert the garage quicker because I like everyone else, I like to exercise, I like to train, I like to have a focus, a release. So, right, but I had some bits and pieces, and then I just thought, this is not going to go away anytime soon. We have to look at this in a different light. And I kind of had to see it as like I was going to convert it, but I'll have to do it a bit quicker because I could see the potential of us being able to train people in a setting which would be safe, and clients would be happy to do it as well there. So yeah, I built that sort of PT studio at home with the mindset of I'll go back to the gym as well. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to set it up, and then because we were told it would only be for a matter of weeks, I didn't really rush too much into it. But then when the reality it extended. It went even longer.
Yeah, that was the initial message, wasn't it? It was going to be weeks. Yeah,
yeah. I was like, I've got to do something with this and basically jump on it as quick as I can. So I started looking at options of setup, kit. What grade of kit was I just going to buy, like stuff that I could use for myself? And I thought, well, if I did start training clients, I needed to go commercial grade. So I started looking at all the commercial grade equipment you could get, like rigs, matting, machinery. I wasn't just looking at the cheap neoprene covered dumbbells from Argos. I was looking at the high level quality gear that you could get from many companies that fit out mega chain gyms in the country and probably across the world as well.
Yeah.
But I also still had this, I'm investing money and time and effort into converting the studio. But my main goal was to get back in the gym because that's where I felt at the time I was in my best position. Like I'm in the best position here. I can be in a big, massive commercial gym and I can generate a lot more of a potential there.
Yeah.
But the reality of it was, whilst it has its pros, it definitely has a lot of cons as well. So, I went back. I did go back into the gym a little bit with a few of the clients, but by this point we were allowed to train clients, in a safe setting. So I did it. I just kept on, and a lot of my clients were like, actually, I'm really liking this from training from here. They had the same quality, if not better, level of equipment they were getting in the gym. I do a lot of one-to-one. I do some semi-private, which obviously that put a bit of a restriction there. But they were loving it, and they were making better gains than I'd ever. And I don't mean gains like they were getting swole or anything like that, but I mean like they were performing much better. They were like I said, my background on my area of kind of on my niche would be rehabilitation and injury prevention and things, and they were getting better results. They were getting over anything that was causing them problems better, or they were developing systems in their own movement and patterns to work better within their own life. And I was getting that better at home because they had more confidence to do certain things. I had the capacity to not worry about what else was going on in the gym, or we were going to get moved from one area to another. Or the commercial gyms are great for building a great community, but they also don't really care too much about what goes on in certain parts of the gym. So they don't care if they see trainers taking clients into that area and it's quite a popular part of the gym. If they want to run a class, they're going to take over that area, and then that trainer might come in on a Monday, go, great, I can use that area today. But then the following Monday, there's now a class on their gym floor that occupies that whole space. And you're like, oh shit, now I've got to just reevaluate everything. I've got to look at my whole system. That was not something that was going to happen in my private studio. The system was set up exactly how I wanted it to be. And with me being kind of I'm quite an outdoorsy kind of guy. Like I like being outdoors and anywhere. Like you'll very rarely find me inside the house. I've got clients that, like I said, you're not for everybody, but those people you'll pick up will be of similar interest or similar mindset. All my clients love being outside as well. They all love that outdoor activity, that lifestyle, that, being kind of where we live is one of the big things. People don't capitalize on that as much as they probably think. Where we live in the northeast, it's pretty good for getting outside and doing something positive. So I saw the pros, but the cons were obviously you're not in front of people's eyes all the time. So you do massively rely on referrals, reactivations, new systems as to how you can introduce people to you. But I did find that because I was working from my home, people in the neighborhood were like getting in touch, like saying, "Oh, like, can I discuss training with you?" And you'd start picking up the odd client that lives in the estate and stuff, and you get to know each other that way. And it depends on the community, I suppose. But I live in quite a good community. People are nice, and they saw, like, it wasn't just there's a weird guy trading from his drive and his garage. It was like they were actually seeing some potential from it, and they were seeing, because they live over the road or something, they see clients coming and leaving, having a great time. So I was like, well, that took away that fear, I think, as well. Like, I'm not out of the eye line. I'm just not in the same setting. That's the difference. It's like I was out of the gym, but I was still getting people seeing what I was doing. So the pros to a kind of a commercial sort of work from home over a gym is, if you have the equipment, you just get that bit more time to work with a client. You haven't got people coming up to you trying to take kit away from that bit, or you haven't got the uncertainty of knowing what you're going to walk into. And I don't know what the other gyms were like in terms of their stability. But the gym I was working at was notorious for power cuts, absolute notorious. So that was probably one of my big things about the gym. I was like, right, I'm going to keep it, because then if I ever get a power cut or we get a power cut in the gym, I just say to everyone, like, come train from my studio. And it was because you lose a day's work there. You think to yourself, oh, I'm going to work. The gym has a power cut, you're out of it for the day. Yeah. I didn't want that. I don't like that instability. So the pros were, I had a lot more control over everything within the training environment. I didn't have to worry about not knowing where I was with certain things. The clients knew where they were. They had a one-to-one, so they were much happier in that sense. Not that when I was on the gym floor that my time was divided by other things, but they just knew that no one was watching them, no one was judging them. They were working on a one-to-one level with me, and that was great for me, because it just felt like I could give them so much more attention, and I knew that I didn't have the distraction of other people's influences coming in. That doesn't mean, like, I'm not saying like I was obviously, like I say, distracted by what people were doing, but it would throw things in the mix if you were, like I say, in the gym. One day you got a certain area, you're going to set up some kit, and then the next time you come in, you get ready for that client coming in, and you just can't use that area anymore because now there's a class on in that area. And I think sometimes commercial gyms don't always look out for the trade. Some PTs in these gyms are the biggest asset that gym has. It's the one of the things that retain the most amount of members. I have clients that were on the brisk, on the verge of, like, kind of leaving. They were going to just cancel the gym membership. They'd had enough because they'd been going for so long. They'd been promised the earth, but they got delivered nothing, because that's what they were told. They were making a point of doing as much as they possibly could, but they weren't getting anywhere with it because they didn't really know how to do it properly. They were just giving it up. And I think there was like, some of them was like, I was almost like the last chance sort of thing. They were like, oh, can we discuss personal training with you? And you chat with them. And they're still now training 6-7 years down the line that they probably would have given up 6-7 years ago. And you think, what would your quality of life be now if you'd just give it all up? And that's because these commercial gyms, they're just, you are just a number in some cases. And that's what I like about our ethos, is like, we are a family. Like, a client mentioned it the other day, like, we treat you like family. They said that to me. Yeah. I was kind of massively moved by that, because I thought, I see you like that, but it's nice to see that you see me like that. I treat you like as well as I would treat any one of my family members.
Yeah. And you definitely can create more of that when you have your own space and your own environment. You can control those factors. You don't have to deal with all the kind of commercial gym politics, or the politics of having other freelance trainers in there who maybe don't care as much about being a PT as you do. There's
Yeah.
definite positives to it. I think the cons, like you mentioned, is probably thinking about people listening to this if they're thinking about doing it. The sales side of it, you have to be aware that you're not then in front of hundreds and hundreds of people every day who are raising their hand to say, I'm in a gym and I'm here for my fitness journey. You have to then find them, which, yeah, that's something you have to consider. I think with your experience and retention rates, you're in a great position to do that.
Yeah, I think I am. And it's something that I constantly work on even now, though. Like, I know we discuss it quite regularly over time, but like it's still something that I still put focus into. Like, I don't ever sit back and think, oh, you know, like this now I've got a good diary of clients. Like, I do have to bear that in mind. But at the same time, if I'm delivering a great service to my clients, they're getting something from it. It's not something that has to be I don't want to churn client over client over client. I want to get a client and I want to keep them because I want that client to start getting some really good results.
Yeah.
And whether that be, you're changing their body composition or you're just making it so that they can live their quality of life that bit better. If they've got something that's hindering them, whether it be an injury from many, many years ago or, they've developed the need for something. Because, I've got a range of clients that, they're from in their 20s up into their 70s. And every one of those clients gets treated differently, but they all get treated with the same the same respect and the same effort for me to want to make them help them or make me help them want them more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. One last question I want to ask you today is about, because I think something you've done really well in the last 12 months as well, and maybe a lot of people have had the opportunity to do this with the pandemic, is to be able to step back, think about what's important. It's been quality to watch you get a van, do it up. Like you mentioned before, you love the outdoors. You've really prioritized life and kind of merged that really well with what you do for a living. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, about what do you think about now in terms of connecting your PT career to your life, and what are your coping strategies for when things get stressful? That kind of thing, because I think you've done a really good job of that in the last 12 months.
I think, I'll be honest, I think I think that question, I knew it was going to come up, and it kind of always pulled on it a little bit. It's one of those ones that gets me. So I've always been that like outdoor sort of mindset, trying to live the lifestyle that I wanted to live, whether it be in the, like hiking, climbing, camping. It's always been something that's been on my mind to want to do, but I never had the avenue of doing it. I never had the opportunity to do it because I had, young kids, working for myself all the time. I was a bit frightened to take the time out. I suppose the kind of the financial side of it as well. So, it costs money to do certain things like that. And then I kind of had to try, I suppose, to put it into perspective of how much I wanted it. And then, as we know, at Christmas, I had no choice but to put those things in perspective. Yeah. I had that really big wake up call that I was like, right, this is a big thing now. Like, I can't just ignore my life around my business. I have to look at it.
Without going into too much detail, like you had a really serious health scare at Christmas, and
yeah, like really bad. It wasn't good. It didn't look great. So, I spent an amount of time there, like thinking, right, what do you want from this? Where do you want it to go? And I realized that I needed to make more of an effort, regardless of the cost. I mean, it's not saying I can just go and flamboyantly like spend money here, there, everywhere, but it's like, is it going to cost me that much, or is it just a matter of actually getting out and doing it? And that was where it was. It was like, get out and do it. And like a lot of my clients are massively understanding of that. Like, so yeah, I converted the van. I converted a short wheelbase van into a camper, which now gives me the opportunity to do stuff where we can just pack the van up and go on a weekend. And then, I got back into doing things like mountain biking with my son, hiking regularly with my wife. But it was kind of like that decision was made for me, because I know that if I didn't do it now, I would never probably get the chance to do it. And that time at Christmas when I had that scare. I was like, shit, this is it. Like, if like that could have been it for me in that perspective.
Yeah.
I didn't know the certainty of it. You know, it wasn't something that was like, right, well, in 2 months' time, you can go and start doing this thing. It was like, you just have to take every day as it comes and then see where you go from there. So I made every opportunity to do it. But then I also saw the value in what I do. So like, we hear this thing all the time, you know, like, we train clients because you want to provide them with a better quality of life. I truly believe, and I've kind of had it spelled out to me by professionals as well. Like, if I wasn't in the lifestyle that I lead now, like if I wasn't active, healthy, eat well, exercise, it was just freak that it kind of happened to me the way it did. It wasn't, you know, it could have happened to anybody. But the fact that I was in the position I was in is what gave me the percentage of the chance to kind of get over it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Imagine if you hadn't been somebody who exercises, eats well, looks after themselves, and you were in that position. Yeah,
it was
been a different story.
That's it. And it's like, I train clients that work in that environment as well. And when they go back and tell the people that were kind of helping me in that time frame where I am now, they can't believe it. They're like, there's no way he's doing that sort of stuff now. And like, this was like 6 months after the event. And I mean, it's obviously 9 months, nearly 10 months ago now that it happened. But it's kind of, they can't believe it. And it's because I wouldn't let it change my mindset toward it. I had to focus everything I could into providing myself with that lifestyle, because I thought, well, like I say, if we go back to it, didn't know whether it would ever happen again. I didn't know if I'd have the ability to do it when, just like at the beginning stages of it, the everyday activity of just simply getting dressed was so exhausting, so hard work. It wasn't something I thought, there's no way I'll climb a mountain again. There's no way I'll go mountain biking regularly. I'm out doing that stuff now because of that lifestyle. And my clients see that. To kind of go back to that question, my clients see that the benefit of my lifestyle also benefits me in other aspects, and they see it for themselves. Like I say, I've got clients in the 70s who still go walking, and I'm not just saying like they go walking around the block, they go walking, like, and that's huge to me. Like, I think, like, if I'm there in that position when I'm their age, that's a goal achieved massively.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing, note to finish on today. Is that I think all of us need to remember that's what we do it for. Is we do it for living a better, healthier, stronger life, and do the things that we really want to do, and to have the energy to do all that stuff. It's not to look in the mirror and go, yeah, look at how great I look, or this is just my belief in this. It's to do the things we really love, and I think that starts with us. If we're going to be good trainers, you've got to inspire the people around you by living the life that you really love as well, and having the energy and the health to do that. And I think you've done a really awesome job of that in the last 9 months since that Christmas. It's been inspiring to watch. So it's worth people remembering this is a lifestyle thing. You've got to live it yourself as well. It isn't just about building a business, making money. It really isn't. It's about inspiring the people around you. Great. Mate, that's been awesome today. I don't feel like I've talked very much. I feel like you've done loads of talking, which is good.
I can get going, can't I? When I get the opportunity to go, I can go.
That's good. That's better for me. Just before we sign off, just let everybody know where they can find you. So, like, any Instagram, Facebook handles, or websites.
Yeah, I have a few. Like, I have like my own personal Instagram, which is generally where I share a lot of just like things. Like, obviously, stuff we haven't touched on is I'm a huge coffee fan. So I like things like that. So I'll share stuff like that on there. But yeah, that's just Gav J Mac on Instagram is my own personal one. I have Mac and Me Adventures is the page that I set up purely for like going away in the van, the hikes, the climbs, bits of mountain biking get put in there. So it's just short. It's just so I can separate those things, because, you know, I like my organization. And then, but generally my business side of it is Mac Coaching, all one on Instagram. And that's pretty much all I do. I'm not into all this TikTok and all that kind of stuff. I can't get on. I think I'm too old for it. I think it's probably
everybody at the end of these, they always have maybe one platform that they use.
Yeah,
a lot of people have 4 or 5.
Yeah, but generally, just speaking, it's just Instagram. And it's just about sharing some fun, really.
Nice.
Nothing too serious.
Well, right. That was awesome today, buddy. Thanks so much for coming on.
Cool.
And, yeah, all the best with things in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hello, and welcome along to another episode of the ProFit podcast. I'm your host, Paul Campy, here again doing a solo interview. Matt is having a break this week, but I have a great guest for you. This is a guy I've been working with for around about 6 years. He's an awesome personal trainer. Also has done some mentoring with other personal trainers in the past. A great person, great friend, a real inspiration in terms of lifestyle and how he fits his business in with his life, with his kids, with his family, with his hobbies and passions. And somebody who I think everyone will enjoy listening to. So sit back, relax. This is Gavin McNamee.